don't get bogged down with just that the dollar's king and that it's gonna beat every currency. I was trying to warn people that, yeah, there's no such thing as a good dollar milkshake. Yes, they're all gonna go down to zero. Wednesday, July 17th, 2024, Maneco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. Well, today we're gonna look at fiat currencies because they're all sinking and they've given us a signal, most of them, that it's gonna continue. And what's that signal? Well, the signal is that, they've sunk to new lows versus real money. And what is real money? Well, there's nothing else but gold in terms of a long-term store of wealth. It has been for thousands of years. There's also silver, of course, which is money, but it's more of a transactional kind of money. And that's going to go the same way as gold. That's going to not go anywhere. It's the fiat currencies that are disappearing. And I'm going to refer to The Triumph of Gold by Franz Pick today because this has not been me forecasting prices or where gold's going to go. I'm not saying that I have a crystal ball. It's just a matter of human nature. And if you understand fiat currencies and if you understand real money, you'll see why it will all end in tears. But there is something that you can do about it for your savings, and that's to be on the right track. And there's an old saying that the trend is your friend. And what we saw yesterday, gold making new all-time highs in dollars, or the dollar falling to new lows in gold, is just part of this trend. It's just a signpost. Yes, we like to look at technical analysis, but we shouldn't get bogged down on technical analysis too much. Unless, of course, you want to trade paper, gold, and silver. I personally will stay away from it. I have done it in the past, but I've learned that gold and silver are too important for that they are real savings that you need to try to hold on for dear life, and also try to stack as much as possible because it's becoming harder and harder to do it. And why? Because the fruits of your labor are being compensated in a currency, be it in the United States, in the UK, in the Eurozone, in Australia, or Canada. The fruits of your labor are being compensated by a currency that is losing value very quickly, and it's getting towards the end. And why is that? Well, it's all to do with the debt. The fiat currency system is a debt-based system. And is there a way out of this? No, because once you pick the road to of inflation, you can never get out of it. And one of the reasons I think we saw fiat currencies, most of the major ones, at least yesterday, sink to new lows, is that the central banks are going to start inflating again. Now the markets see that the Fed has almost 100% chance of starting to cut rates already at their September FOMC meeting. So before we look at this book, I just wanted to let you know, if you haven't been able to get a hold of some gold or some silver, check out my affiliates below. In the United States, I work with Miles Franklin. You can call him on 1-800-822-8080 and mention Maneco64. They will help you if you've never done it. And here in the UK, it's Gold Investments. You can call them as well, Oliver and Simon Temple, who run Gold Investments. They're very helpful. You can even go and meet them in London if you want. You have to make an appointment. But all the details for them as well are below in the description of my all my videos. And talking about gold investments and gold and the price of gold and what's going on. One of the first times that I bought a sovereign over 20 years ago, that's a sovereign, it's about 0.2354 of a troy ounce. First time I bought it, I paid 52 pounds for it. So here's a 20-pound note. So it was about, a little less than 3 of these. And now if I want to get one of these, well, I need about almost 25 of these, really, because it's up to 458 pounds. And you might say, you must be kicking yourself. You should have bought loads back then. Well, that's the whole point that I wanted to talk about as well. Buying gold is not about speculating and making money, right? Because gold is money. Buying gold and silver is about trying to put aside some of your earnings. Unfortunately, your earnings right now are in fiat currencies because there are legal tender laws forcing employers and you to deal in that fiat currency. But that's the way you need to look at it. Don't get into the trap of borrowing to buy gold or anything like that. Try as hard as you can to have a little bit left at the end of the month. So you might be able to get one of these, or you can get a half sovereign, or to get a little bit of silver as well. Silver, of course, is a lot cheaper. So that's the way to look at it. That's how I would do it, and that's how I've been doing it. So I'm not trying to brag here about this, but I've been warning family, friends, colleagues at work for almost, over 20 years, and about the fact that fiat currencies always go to zero, and even the dollar, the fiat dollar, will go to zero. And I even wrote an article back in April of 2007, way before I started this channel, of course. I was still working as a futures and options broker in the city of London, but I did keep a blog called forsoundmoney.com. I don't keep that anymore. And Market Oracle published one of my articles, and this is the part 2. I had a part 1, I think, in December of 2006. This was published in April of 2007. And I'm sticking to this. Currencies, they're all sinking. And I think we're very near the bottom. And what will the world look like when we're near the bottom? Well, if it already doesn't look chaotic now, it's going to be even more chaotic. And we're going to come to this book to see what could happen when that happens. But what I'm trying to tell you here is the reason I wrote this is because I read books like this and others about money. And it's not that I had a crystal ball that could see gold a lot higher and fiat currencies a lot lower. So I'm going to put a link to this article in the description. You can read the whole thing. But I'll give you the reason why I could see this coming. And it's from the introduction to this book. And Franz Pick, Dr. Franz Pick, I think he passed away in 1986, and he wrote this book, and it came out just as he died, which is unfortunate. But the introduction is by Dr. Henry Jarecki, and he says about Franz Pick, because he said he couldn't predict anything, but he said, those predictions were not, when one knew him, predictions at all. That's Dr. Henry Jarecki. They were rather the words of Hosea declaring that the children of Sodom and Gomorrah were behaving badly and would thus come to no good. They were not, any more than Hosea's words were, practical guideposts. Not at all. He knew no more about when gold or currencies would go up or down than anyone else can in this random world. So what that means is that I can't tell you what gold's going to do today or in the next hour, but I can tell you that in the longer term, gold's going to continue to go up, and it's not really gold going up. It's these empty promises from the central banks that are going to go down. Why empty promise? Well, because the cashier of the Bank of England, Miss Sarah John, and I spoke about her a couple of weeks ago. You can listen to that video. She promised to pay the bearer on demand the sum of £20, a promise to pay. What? Well, you can call the Bank of England. I recommend you do. There is a phone number. It will put you to the operator there or whoever, the front desk, and just tell them that you want to talk to someone about the Bank of England notes, and they'll put you through to someone, because I've done it before, and ask them, what is that promise for? And they'll probably tell you, well, that was back during when this was an actual promissory note. The Bank of England would pay you in £1, which is the legal value of a sovereign. And then you'll ask them, well, can I come and get 20 sovereigns for this? And they'll say no, because we're not on the gold standard. And then you can ask them, so why do you keep that promise there? And they'll tell you, well, because if that note is damaged, you can come here to the Bank of England or go to any bank and they'll give you a new note. But that's not really what this says. This says they promised to pay the bearer the sum of £20 on demand. And you should tell the person, why don't you write that you can get a new note for an old note? And this is what it's about. It's the morality and the misbehavior of our leaders, our central banks, and what Dr. Henry Jarecki said about Sodom and Gomorrah. They're misbehaving. Just to give you an example here in my article from 2007, this is in April. I was giving an update on how the fiat currencies were doing. And back then, the price of gold in dollars was 684. It had gone up from 618 from my previous article. The price of gold in Swiss francs was 823. And they had all gone up, the price of gold in all the major currencies. And what I was trying to tell people is that don't get bogged down with just that the dollar's king and that it's going to beat every currency. I was trying to warn people that, yeah, there's no such thing as a good dollar milkshake. Yes, they're all going to go down to zero. And I noticed yesterday, of course, that we broke out in dollars. Gold went up to 24, I think, 65 or 69. So that's a new high. We had reached 24.50 in April and May. So we're finally broken a new high. And yes, technically that's important, but it's as it was said here, is just a guidepost. Don't get too bogged down on it. But the trend is your friend. And unfortunately, the trend is not good for society as a whole. And unless you have some of this and some of this to protect yourself financially, it's going to be tough. I'm not saying it's going to be impossible, but it's going to help you. It's going to help you maintain some sovereignty and some self-reliance, I would say. And that's the other thing I wanted to say today. Nobody really cares about you and your family when push comes to shove. So don't get too bogged down in all the political, geopolitical, social distractions out there. Focus on yourself. Focus on having discipline and consistency and doing what you need to do to create value for you and your family, your friends, your community. And don't waste energy focusing on things that really are not going to help you. So what I'm trying to say here, nobody's going to look after you but yourself. So don't wait for some person to come on a white horse to save you. And I think that's the problem today. And that's why there's so much division, because the powers that be don't want you to be self-reliant. They want you dependent. I saw a tweet the other day that said if pharmaceutical companies wanted to really cure diseases, they would go bankrupt. If politicians really wanted to make everything better for the public, they would also not be needed. If bankers wanted to help you get out of debt and be prosperous, they wouldn't be needed either, and so on. So that's what you need to realize. I think that's just the way I'm looking at things. So there's some other interesting parts here. On page 58, Franz Pick talks about currency debasement, because that, my friends, in the end of the day, is what inflation is. Inflation is not the CPI. That's a measure of prices that can be completely doctored and manipulated. But even the CPI, the index itself, it's always going up, which means the currency is always going down, and that's inflation. But anyway, few people understand the concept of currency debasement, says Franz Pick. This process of debasing the currency to pay for government deficit spending has been going on for centuries. The Egyptians did it, the Greeks and Romans did it, countless other nations have done it. Now it's going on all over the world. The process of monetary inflation and its results, soaring prices, is a simple concept. Adam Smith understood it, as did John Stuart Mill, David Ricardo, and other classical economists. But alas, today few people understand the concept. Instead, thanks in large part to the writings of John Maynard Keynes, higher prices are laid off at the feet of excessive labor wage demands. Yeah, we've heard that. The Bank of England and Andrew Bailey still blame higher wages for inflation. And greedy corporations. We've seen President Biden say that snack food manufacturers are greedy. Greedflation. And this was written like 40 years ago, so nothing changes, right? Arab oil sheikhs and the disappearance of anchovies off the coast of Peru. Mon Dieu, the media, woefully ignorant of currency theory, propagandize these stupid explanations, and the public is left totally in the dark as to the real cause. So there you go. It's not going to get better. And the Fed's going to start inflating again. There's another part here that I think could be what happens when the dust settles, and it's on page 23. We will exchange at least 100 old dollars for the new, for one new dollar. So this is how he sees currency reset, or new currency coming about. This has happened many times in emerging market countries or third world countries, and it's coming. It's coming to a theater near you in the U.S., in the UK, in Europe. A storm is gathering around the dollar. We live in a make-believe world. One day it will have to crash. We will have a new currency. We will exchange at least 100 old dollars for one new dollar, maybe 1,000. I do not know which. I have told you the dollar is at approximately 3 pennies of its 1940 value. Call me a liar if it is 2.5 or 3.5. I establish my figures an average of once a week at the supermarket. We cannot go lower than about 2 pennies because then automobiles would cost 30,000 a car. It would be burdensome. Well, we can go lower. That's the thing. So I think it's going to be more like 1,000 to 1 than 100 to 1. In a 100 to 1 currency exchange, 1 unit of the new currency will have the same purchasing power as 100 of the old units. All we're doing is making bookkeeping changes, knocking off zeros, and officially acknowledging the rape of the currency. The day of the currency exchange signifies that the government embezzlers have been successful in expropriating almost all of the value of the dollar. The only one who will laugh on the way to the bank will be the U.S. Treasury. So there you go. Very simple. And I saw a tweet about a Bloomberg article speculating that Jamie Dimon could be Donald Trump's pick for the Secretary of the Department of the Treasury. So wake up, people. They're not coming to help you. They don't care about you. Nobody cares about you. So make sure you have your financial house in order and all your other all other aspects of your life in order. And I'm not going to do the market update this morning because I've rambled on for too long, but just quickly let you know where spot gold is. We're 24.65, down about $4. We did make another high today at 24.82. Silver is a little under pressure because they can wax silver a lot easier. It's at 30.83. It's down 43 cents, but more reason for you to try to get silver. And I know in the UK there's a 20% VAT on silver, but believe me, when the dust settles in the future, you will have, you will not care about that 20% you paid in the VAT because silver will be almost priceless as well as gold. That's my opinion, of course. And with that, I'm going to wish you all a very good day. Take care. Bye.